God bless my haters. God bless fake hoes.
I actually like this one.
Cause God only knows that. All I do is get it. 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 So God bless snake niggas.
I am loving this theme song. Like the plan was we were gonna change it because we thought it was a little too ratchet for
we
us.
gotta keep her because it is a good theme song. I don't know why we like it so much.
Maybe because you have a lot of haters. I don't know. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the comment section. I am your host Shirley Phillips.
And this is Fox Baldwin or Emmanuel Anzules.
Whatever you feel like calling him on any given day. You know,
Exactly.
any given Sunday, he's a different name. But we are really excited. We're always excited, but we're extra excited today because we have a guest here who has become like a friend of the show. She's become a friend of my nonprofit with all the work that she does with mental health issues, particularly domestic violence and this whole epidemic of narcissistic personality disorder. And it's like every time I see her, I develop like a whole new set of questions because
Yes.
I've experienced it, you've experienced it. I'm actually developing like an eye for it now. Like even when I'm looking at my students.
We're constantly labeling people narcissists. It's so common though, right? That
Everybody's a damn narcissist.
all the knowledge that Chanel has given us has just come such a long way, especially in dealing with people in our everyday lives.
Yes.
Students in our classroom, people, friends. I mean, thank you, Chanel.
Thank you, boo, for schooling us, saving the lost. But before we do get into that, there's a couple of things that we need to talk about,
A couple. I feel like there's a long list.
So we'll be selective. But let's start off with the Raptors. I am a Michigan girl. So Canada is right next door to Detroit. So I am very proud of the Toronto Raptors for their NBA final.
I have no idea what any of that means.
It's been like 24, 25 years in the making.
Oh, has it?
Yeah, and Drake, I love all things Drake. So if Drake is excited about it, then I'm
So they
excited.
made it to the finals. Who are they playing against?
A good question. I believe they're playing the Warriors, if I'm
Of
not
course.
mistaken.
I feel
So
like for some reason the Warriors are always there. Is that wrong? Or
that is correct.
they're always there,
That
right?
is correct. And
They have that
Aisha
magic.
Curry and Steph Curry. It's a little tricky because she has a little Canadian blood dabbling
Yeah.
through her body. So
She's probably conflicted.
she's a little conflicted. I did see some tweets last night where she didn't know who to root for, but it should be interesting. And I always like to see like an underdog come through and play. I'm
Good
tired of
for
seeing
them.
the same people.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
It's a little
sure
bit
many
redundant.
sports fans would probably say the same.
It's a little redundant.
Right. Yeah, so if the Warriors win again, I'm sure everybody will be like, well, that was expected. But if the Raptors take it, then they will probably become believers.
I mean, that's
and
more
they'll
money
take on.
because people bet on these types of things. So
Yeah.
sometimes they'll throw.
When do the games start?
You asking the wrong person. I don't know.
You don't know.
No.
I'm sure it's soon though, because it's
I will
just
ask my
about
boyfriend.
June, and usually it's in June. From what I remember from when I was a kid. when
This is like a third hand.
when I was more of a straight male, I used to watch
In your
basketball.
straight days.
But then as soon as I started becoming more gay, basketball, wrestling became a thing of the past. So I'm glad. Congrats to the Raptors. Shout out to you guys.
I used to watch them because they were cute. So I used to base, if it wasn't the Detroit Pistons, then I would base my team favorites on who had the cutest players. But
I used to like the Miami Heat
the Miami Heat
and Alonzo
Ooh.
Mourning. And the only reason I liked them is because they had a song. And it was like a dance song in the 90s that would come on whenever the Heat was playing, and that was my song.
That was your song?
I felt connected to them in that way.
Listen, I can't. Who did I like? I liked Penny Hardaway back in the day. I thought he was cute. I used to like Rod Strickland back in the day. I thought he was cute, beautiful eyes. Michael Jordan.
Not cute.
At the time, he was cute. I can't stand him. But at the time,
Not
he
cute.
was
Not cute at all.
Who else? I think that might be about it. I used to live for Penny Hardaway. I like to watch
Patrick
him.
Ewing.
No.
Not cute.
No.
Charles.
Barkley?
Barkley, yeah.
No, I like Charles Barkley because he's a Pisces.
I've seen him on like, I don't know if it's CNN. I've seen him on some sports show where he's like a sportscaster now.
He's a sportscaster.
Good for him.
Oh, Shaquille O'Neal. I didn't think it was cute, but I always like Shaq. Shaq is a Pisces also.
Isn't he from Jersey?
He's from Jersey, and he does a
Shout out
lot
to
for Jersey. And I don't think Shaq gets enough credit for like his hustle skills. Like Shaquille is out here.
He's a businessman.
He's a businessman. And he's low key. Like he doesn't broadcast. You know,
have you seen
stuff.
that meme with Shaq?
The one where he's like, yes.
That's whenever I think of Shaq, that's the only thing that comes to mind.
I can't with you. He's very silly. You know,
I'm
as we
pretty
are.
sure.
That's my boo. Size 22. Hey.
No way.
Size 22 shoe.
I mean, that's
Hey,
not
Shaq.
always, you know what they say.
That's not always an indicator of
okay,
certain things. You're absolutely correct.
Not.
I have witnessed such
A
fallacies.
size 22?
And that wasn't a size 22, but he was a 19.
Oh my God.
And I was underwhelmed.
What were you expecting?
I was expecting a size 19 package.
Shirley!
I didn't get
What are you
that.
going to do with that?
I was underwhelmed. I was underwhelmed.
Gross. Anyway.
I was underwhelmed. But anyways.
A walk down memory lane of the basketball.
Yes.
Did you ever watch the WNBA?
Wasn't really into WNBA.
I was a little bit into it, but I feel like they didn't get as much of a hype.
They didn't.
Right? I don't know if it's because they don't. I mean, some of the teams, I feel like some of the teams are no longer. They've changed a lot of the names, a lot of the like standout players that we knew.
They have.
They retired or whatever the case is.
I'm not really, I hate to say it, but I'm not really intrigued that much by women's sports. That's just me.
There are a lot of critics that say that there shouldn't be a difference between women and men's leagues, and that women should be allowed to play in the NBA.
To play co-ed. That might be a good idea.
Especially in like a non-contact sport like basketball.
Like basketball.
Or even, I guess, baseball.
What about football? Like I have a lot of girls that love to play football.
Yeah. And there are football leagues out there for women. No. I just don't know if they would ever.
You're saying no, not that.
No.
No. Not with, me too.
Imagine. Yeah. I mean, they should sign some sort of an agreement, right, before they join the league, where they're given all their rights to being possibly touched to the league, and they can, file a lawsuit or whatever the case is.
No, I've always attached sport. I loved volleyball as a child. I wasn't a basketball player, but I like to watch basketball. I like to watch baseball, to play hockey. Mm-hmm. And I just always attached it to like how cute the players were. So to watch women's sports is no bueno.
No fun for you.
I'm not a lesbian, sir.
So speaking of women, over the past few weeks we've seen, and it's very crazy that in 2019 we're having to discuss the the different states, and especially in the South, and currently banning abortion. It takes us back to 1973, right, with the Supreme Court case of Roe versus Wade that legalized abortions nationwide and gave women the right to choose due to their right to privacy. To their right to privacy,
and I can't believe that I'm even alive to witness something like this being overturned. Like this is...
And there was a domino effect. I remember I was watching the news one day, it was one state. The following day, it was another state.
Yeah.
And they have continuously begun enacting different laws for their state that ban abortions within a certain time of the woman's pregnancy.
It's an attack on women, for sure.
Definitely an attack on women.
And there was another perspective of this that I was watching where they were saying, yes, it's an attack on women, but it's also, if you think about where most abortions or what population is predominantly getting abortions, isn't this another way to control minorities where abortion clinics, for the most part, located? Like if I live in Westchester County, if I want to get an abortion, I have to go to an actual hospital or a Planned Parenthood. Well, they're closing most of the Planned Parenthoods, and those Planned Parenthoods are usually located in predominantly minority areas or urban areas. So if you think about who it's mostly going to affect, it's mostly black and brown people. And
do you think a state like New York, a state like New Jersey, whatever, come down to...
No, it's going to be more profitable for us because you're going to receive the influx of people that come here to have these procedures.
So initially when Planned Parenthood was put into place, I think it was the 50s or the 60s, a lot of people criticized them for their racist beliefs and racist practices, and they said that they engaged in a sort of population control because they were in these communities
They're
of
in these
color.
communities.
So it gave black and brown women the option of aborting their fetus. I agreed with that, but right now the conversation, because it's become so, it's very like red and blue, I feel. And for many years, I feel like the red side has been trying to push
Yes.
making abortions illegal and possibly overturning Roe versus Wade. And now with the current administration, you begin to wonder, like, damn, is this really going to happen?
Is this really gonna
Because these are
happen?
things that Donald Trump, like, he was running on
Yeah.
initially, right? Like, he proposed all
And
these
this
things.
is what I'm like, as much as you can say what you want to say about Trump. He did exactly what he said he was going to do.
And he's doing it, and it's very scary.
He's one of the few presidents, I'm not a Trump supporter, but he did exactly what he campaigned to do. And it's
And
like,
he was criticized for not being a politician, right? People are like, he has no political experience, but I think that that's what's giving him such a leg up on being able to
Yeah.
actually live up
He
to
delivered.
all these promises.
Absolutely.
He's definitely delivering.
absolutely.
So it's very scary. I just hope that
I'm concerned about, us reverting back to the illegal abortions in the homes with, materials that are not sterilized, people that are not licensed to practice. And, there are a lot of women that lost their lives,
yeah.
to
I was
that.
reading up on that, and it said that there are now medications, like especially today, 2019,
Yeah.
there are pills that a woman can take.
Oh, yeah.
And your abortion can happen right at home. You don't actually need to go
You
somewhere
can take
to have
it,
it done.
but isn't that going to be banned too? That's illegal too.
Right, but at least you have. I mean, how will they find out?
Well, you have to have a prescription.
Right.
You can't just go to CVS.
Imagine.
I mean, like Plan B, you can. I don't know.
You know
I
what? If
can't.
they continue to ban abortion in some states, I am willing to get prescriptions for people and send it down to them.
You gonna send it to them?
We should start a business.
You're gonna
speaking of
Amazon the abortion Prime. I can't.
Abortion Prime.
I cannot.
Can you imagine?
I cannot.
Abortion pills, abortion pills.
Outside
Outside the club.
to even tell me that if I'm, God forbid, raped by,
And that's
come on.
That's the worst, right? Like, how are you telling a 10-year-old, 11-year-old
That's
girl?
raped by her crackhead uncle.
Right.
That she has to have this child.
So not only does she have to forever live with the consequence of having been
I just don't like
raped
the
ancestrally, but how do
baby
you?
is more than likely going to be mentally challenged. I have to live with this trauma, this stigma. I have to deal with raising and providing for this. Like, I can't. It's ridiculous. And
the girl was the victim, so
I'm the victim.
we're favoring the abuser and the long-lasting and lingering effect of what he did,
And using religion to justify it.
as opposed to protecting a child. So we want to protect the fetus, right? But we don't want to protect the actual person that's experiencing all
That's
this trauma.
experiencing the trauma. I can't.
Insane. What world are we?
I can't. And I won't. I want no parts. But outside from that, I mean, in general, just everything. Nothing is the way it used to be. Like, I don't know how to approach most major topics. Like, I don't know how to approach dating. I don't know how to approach families. I don't know how to approach.
Because everything is so up in the air.
Everything is in the air. It's like we're making the rules up as we go along.
We are just moving along with the times. Like, I used to watch videos, or I used to hear of, like, shootings and school shootings and, like, hate crimes in the news back when I was a kid, and I would be horrified. Now,
happening.
I'm so numb to it. I don't even, like, I see a school shooting, and I'm like, oh, well, there it goes
That's
again.
unfortunate.
Is that just me, or is
No,
it
we're desensitized.
a lot of people? I think it happens so often now that we no
We're
longer.
desensitized. I was
Oh, Lord.
watching a video of actually one of my students that was jumped recently. And I'm like, first of all, who stood around and recorded this? Number one.
How old is the student?
She's in the 7th grade.
So, like, 12, 13.
Jumped by a high school student. Okay.
Oh, Lord.
Retaliation. I guess she had gotten into it with another 7th grader, beat the 7th grader up. 7th grader proceeds to go get her relatives to come back and jumper. So I'm like watching this video mortified.
Oh my
And
god.
in the background, you can see like all of these kids,
Phones being recorded.
laughing. This girl is getting pummeled. Like I'm watching her head be smashed.
And
against
nobody
concrete.
is doing anything about it.
No
right?
one
How
thought-
long did the fight last
The fight
for?
lasted a good 3 minutes, which is a long time to have someone bashing your head against the ground. And it's just mortifying. Like,
It's such a common thing. Like, how many videos do you see of that happening?
how many videos do we not see? These kids are recording.
Even worse.
This is what they wanted to tell me because they were concerned after the fight. Oh, well, you know, miss, can you take this to the principal? Can you take this to the police? Nobody thought to do that while it was happening. Nobody thought to call 911 or, you know. And
I mean,
just,
how long would it take for the police to come?
Days. I'm saying this like days after it happened.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm like, even when people die, you know, of such, the kids are just like, oh, well, you know, she had to come in.
Yeah, nobody cares anymore.
Oh, okay, well, she should have kept her mouth shut. It's like, it's disgusting.
Nobody cares anymore.
It's
It's unfortunate because I feel like there is something that speaks to a population that can empathize. Like there are certain things that empathy that brings along with it that make you a critical thinker, that make you be able to step outside of your comfort zone and your own experience in order to understand another human being.
In order
And I
to
feel
understand someone else.
that's what we're lacking. It's this idea of empathy, right? And is it a lost trait in people?
It is lost. It's me,
Because
me.
I'm still empathetic, but I feel like I'm slowly drifting away from having it because nobody else has it.
No one else has it, and I am losing. I'm team apathy to a certain extent when
And that's what it is. People are falling to that side a lot more.
because we work with children. It's harder for me to be completely apathetic. But I think if I didn't work with children, I would be one of those people that would just mind my business, close
Yeah.
my windows, close my doors, and just wouldn't.
But there are even I even deal with people at my job because I'm also a teacher. I work with high school students. My staff is massive. We have close to 200 staff members at the school, and there are people at my job who, by choice, and I don't blame them,
Yeah.
they've decided to completely just do their job, work the hours they need to be there
And go
for.
home.
They go home. They don't establish connections anymore with kids because it becomes too taxing.
It's taxing.
It's too emotionally draining, and people don't want to do it, especially if you are 35, 36, or whatever the case is, right? And you have children at home.
You have your own children at home.
You don't have time to worry about everybody else, but then it's like, damn, like,
Then who's gonna worry about?
who
them?
cares? Like,
cares?
who's out there caring? And we don't have enough of that, and I think that's what leads into what Chanel is going to bring up in the next segment, right? Which is this whole idea of narcissism.
Narcissistic personality disorder. It is Mental Health Awareness Month this May, and we did not want to end the month without at least touching on a couple of issues related to mental illness and mental health in our community. So if you do have a question or comment, you are welcome to give us a call at 347-640-3920. You're also welcome to reach out to us on our Facebook page, and you may also reach us on Instagram at NY Comment Section. We will be right back in just a moment with more of the comment section.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Yeah,
Let me get this straight, I ain't doing this for no respect. I'm only doing this so my family can count them checks, and I can finally prove that I'm the best. Even if I gotta italicize and bold that text as vividly. How my father turned a phoenix when went left. I've been doubting my whole life, so I wanna prove that I'm the best. Ain't no sadness for me, too busy on that goddamn main quest. Cause I remember coming up, seeing buried in the dirt, wondering why is they wearing my peoples up on their shirt. And for ages I was stuck with this hurt. That's why at the age of 10 I discovered I was born with this curse. Always had the right angle, just gotta close that curve. All about my paper, cause all I know is that work. Gotta keep my mind off it before I over assert. Snakes trying to sneak up, so I'm always on high alert. Now rappers trying to come up on the list. Everybody sending shots trying to get they diss. But you got a ghostwriter, so you bet not miss. I ain't even in the beef, I'm just trying to get my to-go this. You be screaming RP, Uncle Tommy getting all my motivation from my goddamn Monty, so best believe ain't nobody gonna stop me. I'ma keep going on if you hate me or you like me, cause I ain't playing by the rules, cause I don't care about nobody. I don't care if it's done clean or if it's done sloppy. All I'm trying to do is get the mission done. Do you copy? That's why I got a whole fleet. Yeah, my brothers behind me, holding them Tommies, throwing lies up and they catching them bodies. I swear to God, I'm the best in this lobby. There's a thought you could pipe it, we should call you Roddy. You want the payo, but I rule so you could call me Bobby. Half of y'all to get my scheme because it's more than logic. And I'm doing this rap because it's more than profit. I work for every penny the bodies. Phone calls are scared, hate to hate, cause it's drowned out by all the applauses. Yeah, I was down, had to calm my spirit as if I'm Kodak. It's alright if I ain't got enough support up on my back. I'ma still focus up cause I ain't never gonna lack. My movie just starting while the others fade to black.
Hey, we are back with the comment section and our much highly, greatly anticipated guest, Miss Chanel Jasmine Clark, author of the book, The Spiritual Whistleblower's Breakup Manual, Volume 1, How to Defeat a Narcissist. How to Defeat a Narcissist. Welcome, ma'am. How are you?
Welcome.
Finally, we get you here. This has been a work in progress for the past few months. I was able to snag her a couple of months back for a relationship panel that I did have, but we needed some one-on-one time because we have questions.
Hey, I'm ready.
We got some questions, but before we get into our questions, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got started with this topic?
Well, you know what? From the time that I was a child, I've been bullied by parents, peers in school, lovers, child's father. I knew something was wrong, but I could not put a finger on it. And this last relationship, it broke me to the point where I said, enough is enough. I have to do some searching. I can't go around blaming the people I get in a relationship with. There's something about me that's broken and I need to heal
That's
and
attracting.
fix. Yeah, I'm attracting these types of people. So I did my research. I got on the internet. I did go to therapy. Not all therapists are equipped with this knowledge, but I did a lot of research. And come to find out, both of my parents are narcissists. So I'm dating people with the same personalities as my parents.
Both parents?
Both.
Are you an only child?
No, I'm the oldest of two siblings.
Okay.
So there's a dynamic there, and that's another story. But that's how I had to do soul searching. I got real with myself and said, stop blaming others and let's see how we can fix and deprogram what mom and dad instilled in me, these toxic behaviors, because they're toxic and what they instilled was toxic. So now I'm unlearning and deprogramming everything that they have taught.
So what were some of the things that you learned from your parents that you were reflecting in these relationships?
Codependency is the number one. If you have a narcissistic parent, they teach you not to be independent but more reliant on them for everything, so that they can control and kick you down.
Okay.
They train you and they groom you and to be a doormat, a people pleaser, to take care of your siblings and everyone, just to ignore you.
Ignore yourself.
And as you become an adult and you get into a romantic relationship, you're going to attract people like your parents, and that cycle continues. And then you're stuck in a relationship with someone that uses you, and no matter what you do to please them, it's never enough.
It's never enough.
Are your siblings the same way? Did they both grow up with, you said you have two siblings, right?
Yes.
Did they both also grow up feeling like a part of their identity had to be concealed in order to please your parents, or are they narcissists themselves?
That's a great question. Depending on if you have one or two narcissistic parents, I had two, so the dynamics are different between both. My mother, my brother is the second child, my sister is the youngest. My mother abused me and my brother, but she made my sister the golden child. So the children that get abused are the scapegoat children. The child that's praised is the golden child. The narcissistic parent will praise one and abuse the others, and they'll put one against the other. That's the dynamic. So they're always going to groom one child to be a duplicate to carry on tradition. And they're going to beat down the other children
That's deep.
and put them against each other.
What has that done to the relationship that you have with your
That's what I was
siblings?
gonna ask.
With my siblings, me and my brother are very close because I have had to be his surrogate mother. He has no relationship with my mother because of the abuse. My sister, me and my brother will not deal with because she is a narcissist. My mother trained her. So we absolutely cannot. And that's how the narcissistic parent wants their children to be divided. They divide their children deliberately and triangulate them against each other.
Wow.
Yeah.
So at what point, or what was your rock bottom? Like, what happened? Where were you? What day was it when you said enough is enough? I cannot do this with this person anymore.
My last relationship, I would say 3 years ago, this individual cheated, and the person he chose to cheat with was really low class, and I'm saying that in a really nice way, trying to be very
Diplomatic.
professional, very professional about it. This individual had a urinary tract infection and left her pills, her antibiotics, on his dresser with her name on it for me to find. Very classless. And, after I dumped him, he continued to sleep with her. So I said, you know what, I cannot do this
Wow.
ever again with anybody.
Wow.
Is this the last relationship that you were in?
Yeah.
How many relationships were you in before where you were exposed to the same narcissistic behavior?
I was married to a narcissist who beat me to a bloody pulp and put me in the hospital. My daughter's father is a psychopath. This, of course, is when
Oh
I
my
didn't
gosh,
know what
no.
narcissism was about. I'm just attracting, and I'm like, what am I doing
What am I doing? Yeah.
You didn't think anything of it, right? Like while it was happening?
No.
What did you think it was? Did you think there was a flaw in yourself that was attracting these types of individuals?
I did, but I didn't know there was a name. I couldn't figure out for the life of me. I knew something was off. I said, I'm such a good person.
such a good
good
person.
to these people.
Mhm.
I give and give. Why does this keep happening to me? And my daughter's father, he did a number on me too. He owes me $100,000 in back child support to this day. And they, narcissists use children as pawns. They don't love their children. They only use their children to control the baby
The
mother, baby
significant
father.
other,
The
yeah, the
significant
spouse.
other.
It's all a game to them. So
And they don't realize that they are narcissists.
some of them do, and they don't care.
They don't care.
Yeah.
That's the scary part for me, is that you have these behaviors, you're abusing all these people, and you don't even, a lot of them realize that there's a problem. They think the problem is you.
Right.
Well, by definition, I think also, correct me if I'm wrong, but a narcissist is someone that's so involved in themselves that they don't see the effect that they have on others, right?
That's partially true because they enjoy inflicting pain and watching you squirm and suffer.
Hmm.
Yeah. Depending on who you are and what they can get out of you. Once they get what they can, they want to break you and leave you for dead.
And leave you for
and
dead.
watch you suffer.
So
Very sadistic.
How different is a narcissist from like a sociopath, psychopath? Because it doesn't sound very different, and this one sounds a lot more like
Common.
yes.
They're super similar. There's just some very different, very slight different traits. But like a sociopath, I would say Donald Trump is a sociopath. But he's narcissistic.
He has them all. He has them all.
Yes, sociopaths are very impulsive and reckless with their mouths. Okay, and they're very selfish. They are narcissistic. Psychopaths are the pedophiles, the rapists, the ones that do crimes and think nothing of it.
Okay.
That hurt children and can just walk away after they've raped or destroyed a child. Just completely no empathy, no conscience. So a narcissist is they abuse, but not to the level that a sociopath and psychopath would. And that's called antisocial personality disorder. They're really, sociopaths and psychopaths are really
They're
sick.
very sick people.
Very sick. Okay? So there's, many people are narcissists. Many celebrities are narcs, but they'll never cross that line and do, the sadistic, the real sadistic stuff of raping and all that other stuff. That's the antisocial personality disorder.
So we
We
had
just-
a little
we-
bit of a question from Facebook. Person
Yes.
wants to know, doesn't everyone have a little bit of narcissism embedded somewhere in their
Absolutely,
personality?
absolutely. Every time I do, you do, we all do. Every time we take a selfie and post it, everybody does. This is probably the most narcissistic generation we live in. However, when it's time to turn it off and be an empath, us true empaths know how to do that.
We know how to do it.
The narcissist keeps it turned on 24/7. Okay, they don't turn it off, and they live in their own bubble world of delusion. They're just completely detached from reality, and it's all about their world. Kanye West, and he's a great example. Him and Donald Trump are,
Aren't they both Geminis too?
yes.
They
Nice.
both Geminis. Yeah.
When Kanye went to that White House, I'm like, it's like one sociopath
Twin
staring at
souls.
the other. Yeah, just having a conversation.
Twin flames.
Yeah, absolutely.
We were talking about this earlier, Shirley, and we were saying how our society seems to be sickened by this narcissistic view of the world,
Of the
right? Like our
world.
kids are displaying a lot more narcissistic behaviors, adults, social media is creating this narcissistic lifestyle.
Technology.
Do you feel that this wave of technology is slowly doing away with empathy and creating more narcissism in general?
I think it creates narcissistic traits, but narcissism truly starts at home. The parents do it to the child when they're small. That's where it really starts. But those of us, like, when I feel myself getting too caught up in social media, I turn it off. I deactivate. And the true empaths know when it's time to step back and say it's
too
enough
much.
is enough.
Yeah.
I don't like reading the negative news on the blogs. I've had enough of seeing the child molestation stories. We know when to cut it off and take a break. We know when it's consuming too much of our lives and we've had enough. And then there are the other ones that don't, that love getting in the comment section and saying horrible things to other people, spewing hatred, because that's their personality.
It's a personality.
All social media has done is exposed. We're seeing it left and right now thanks to social media.
Yeah, I remember even as early as maybe like 4th or 5th grade when you start with the girl groups, and we used to do this thing called the silent treatment, where whoever the victim was, whatever she did, we would say, you know what, we're not going to talk to her all day, and we would isolate this poor girl. No one would talk to. It's abuse. And I see these same behaviors perpetuated in, the middle school kids that I teach, and I'm trying to pull them no, this is abusive. Don't you see what you're doing? You could permanently damage this poor girl over something so silly, and they're getting joy and pleasure off of somebody else's misery.
Yeah,
And
They've probably seen it
disgusting.
in their parents, right, or in an adult in their
they're
lives.
narcissists in the making, honey, because that's one of the main abuse tactics of a narc is silent treatment.
The silent treatment.
Yeah, it's very painful
That's
to
so
be ignored by someone you love.
I used to be a narcissist.
You must still be a narcissist, Shirley.
Listen,
Well, no, you might have felt under peer pressure, but you knew in your heart it was wrong.
I knew it was wrong.
Yeah,
If you were a
empathy.
true narc, you wouldn't care.
Got it. I knew it was wrong, and I felt bad, but I didn't want to be.
We all have succumbed.
You didn't want to be the next victim.
No, I don't want to be the next victim.
We all have succumbed under peer pressure, but if you know in your heart it's wrong and you feel bad,
It was wrong.
and you're empathetic, you're an empath. So a true narc was like, whatever, she'll get over it.
Sugar.
Or like a lot of these young girls where you hear these stories where they're jumping one girl and they kill the person, the child, and they walk away, they don't care. That's dangerous.
That's what I just told you. We just had a
Those
situation.
teens are dangerous because they really, that's psychopath
That's psychopath behavior.
Yeah.
This is scary.
It's real though. We're surrounded by these people.
How do you,
Bosses.
it's how do you deal in your everyday life, right? When you have to face narcissists in multiple areas, like at work, at home, social media, society, everything is so based on this narcissism. How do you, live your life in a more positive way without succumbing to
just
these pressures?
Shutting down completely.
Well, number one, this is why I go so hard to educate people.
Yeah.
When people have the information and they can identify,
Yeah.
they can cross the street before the person
Amen.
approaches. They can identify.
Mm-hmm.
Because these creatures are very predatory. They know how to spot and prey, and they know the right things to say to slither and get into your good graces.
Mm-hmm.
So if people are not educated on this stuff, they're going to fall victim.
I'm gonna call victim.
So that's why I'm out here educating people to know the signs. Because when you know the signs, you can dodge them before they come to you. The key is boundaries. The narcissist hates boundaries. Okay? They love to overstep. I don't care what role they play. It could be your mother, father, your lover, sister, but if they're a narc, they don't care about your boundaries. So when they see that you're strong and you're not having it, whether you're in the workplace, your boss tries you, or whoever in the church, you maintain your boundaries. And they have no choice. They're going to talk about you and get mad, but they got to respect you.
Got it. That's what I was going to say. Do they eventually just leave you alone? Are they looking for easy prey, or do they keep badgering
If
that
they
person?
know you're onto them and you've unveiled and pulled the mask off, yeah, they're going to hate you.
This reminds me, so my boyfriend Nate was watching, there's this like animal show that talks about the savannah on Netflix, and we were watching the lions chase after an ostrich when they realized that one of the ostriches was too fast and they couldn't get her.
I'm done.
They went for the slower one,
Mm-hmm.
and that's who they like started to attack.
Easier.
It's easier, right? This reminds me of like living in the savannah. It's a
Easy prey.
savannah full of humans.
And they have to constantly feed off of, so they need a supply.
And you just know in your mind what it is that a weakness that you're looking for. So it makes your predatory behavior a lot easier.
Yeah.
This is so
Wow.
The more
fascinating.
education and shows and platforms like this, we get this information out there to educate people, the more they can know what to look for, what to avoid, especially on a first date. These people have rehearsed.
Can we talk about it? Oh my God.
Yeah, we need to talk about.
That was the main thing I wanted to ask her, because I'm tired. I am in a relationship. I'm very happy. Praise Jesus. Finally.
Yes.
But I'm tired of seeing my friends ghosted and mentally abused, emotionally abused by the majority of them that they're meeting online, not all of them. And these men come off as knights in shining armor. They're telling them what they want to hear. They're taking them out. They're not pressuring them to have sex. And then they just ghost them after, whatever, 3 months, 4 months.
After they get what they.
Sometimes not even after they get, it's not always
Sometimes
intimate.
they
Because
not put it up
sometimes,
enough.
right, but sometimes
That's
they're
what I
not
was
looking
gonna
for
say.
sex either. They're just looking for like instant gratification.
But it's just the trauma of having to, as a single woman, to go through that over and over where you don't know what you did, if you did anything wrong at all. And just to have this person not call, not text, not email, just vanish, that you've been, spending a significant amount of time with for months and months. What is that phenomena, and how is that connected to narcissism?
Ladies, stay off of the website.
I
PSA.
should know in this.
Yeah, I've never been on one, and you can never pay me.
PSA.
Dating apps, dating websites. Number one, women are getting killed.
Yeah. Yeah.
The narcissist, this is their playground. What better way to juggle 20, 30 women at one time, have them all believing you want to marry them? Last week, there was a guy that swindled $80,000 out of a woman after meeting her for 1 week off a dating app. There's another guy that was sleeping
A
with women.
week?
Well, he convinced her to put up money for a house. He told her he was going to marry her. He's a narc. They caught him. He's locked up now. There's another guy, I think Cali, he was meeting women through a dating app, giving them one-night stands and robbing their purses. Ladies, come on, we got to get our self-esteem together. Stay off those dating apps. It's not that serious. You got to fall in love with yourself and be happy with this single life. I know it's hard, and there's good brothers out here, but these predators are not playing with y'all. And they are out here.
And it's so
they're
easy.
They're going to get you. They're going to tell you what you want to hear. And that's why they ghost. Don't put yourself in a situation to be ghosted. Stay off the dating apps. It's horrible.
It's so sad.
It's so.
It's like, really? Like, I don't know.
It's not just women either.
I
It's
was
like
going to say, gay, lesbian too. It's
Yes.
all over, honey.
I've experienced it myself. I've been in a relationship now for 4 years.
Woo.
So back in 2015 and like a few years before that, I was on all these dating apps and I was ghosted. I was
Sure.
strung along.
Were you?
Yes.
It's horrible.
And that was like 5-6 years ago. I cannot imagine what it's
Worse
like
now.
Oh, it's bad now.
There's
Talk
so
about
many.
And people feel such a desperation to be in these relationships, right? Because that's what social media has created.
the facade.
The facade. People only post like happy moments. So
Exactly.
like I'll post a photo with my girlfriend or my boyfriend, and that's what people see.
Yeah.
Because I want them to see that, right? So now everybody believes that that's also what they want.
And half the time, it's not real. It's not
No.
what's really going on behind closed doors.
It's not
So,
real. Like, we witnessed it. We witnessed people that we've hung out with where we knew the real when you got 37 cents in your checking account, but you flossing on Instagram. We talked about this last
Oh,
week.
yeah.
And it's like, really? You posting this on Instagram when you couldn't buy That's a drink at the bar.
Yeah. It's sad, right? But like, what is it that people are really looking for? Because like Shirley and I do it on a daily basis. Chanel, your work with people and empowering women and others, right, to really get to know who they are. What is it that is so different in people today that was maybe not the case 50 years ago? Is it technology?
The internet.
Definitely the internet, but I just think it's generational curses. It's the lack of self-love, the codependency. We come from a long line of it as a community, and those of us like myself, the black sheeps of the family that aren't scared to step out and be shamed from the family because we're tired. We want to break that generational curse. We want to change. The rest of the family will sweep the dirt underneath the rug.
Yeah.
The molestation, the abuse that they're witnessing,
Yeah.
all of that. They turn their back and sweep. That's why it's so bad now. People are raised off of, they don't have self-worth or self-value. So because mom and dad and grandma and whatever, they come from this crazy dysfunction. So they carry that into their adulthood. And then they're looking for love because they were not taught self-love.
They weren't taught self-love.
And they keep
That's
in one bad relationship after
insane.
the next because they're dating mom or dad.
Wow.
That's what it is.
Like, think about generations before. What was their struggle when they were coming of age, when they were getting married? Like, they were probably focusing on securing a job so that there was stability in the home, and they pushed all these mental health issues to the side, right?
Yeah.
So now their children are the ones that are
have
dealing
to
with
deal with
this.
that.
Absolutely.
So I wonder what is going to be
Interesting.
next.
Like, I look at my grandparents. They've been married, I think, 50, 60 years, but they sleep in separate bedrooms, okay? And back in those times, yeah, very common. Back in those times, it was just about stability and settling. Women tolerated. They had no other choices, and the husbands cheated. My grandfather had a whole baby outside of his marriage. And my grandmother's still married to him. And they rather fist fight and fight in front of the children. So they've passed down these domestic violence issues. And, of course, my father and his siblings passed it on to me. Generations suffer behind this.
Yeah.
So back in those times, it was about settling, self-medicating with alcohol or whatever, ignoring mental health issues. And, of course, it trickles down because we're cleaning up the mess. Now we're in a day and age where we cannot ignore mental health.
We can't ignore it.
It's in our face
No.
now. We have to do something because it's out of control now. Social media is exposing it.
So I wonder, is narcissism like the culmination of like other mental illnesses? Is it even a mental illness, or is it just a personality trait?
It's not a mental illness. It is a personality disorder. It's more of a comorbidity. And yes, a narcissist can be mentally ill on top of it.
On top
it's
of
a
it.
disaster.
Oh my God.
Does it get diagnosed? Like, if you go to a therapist, right, and after seeing them, do they say, like, you have personality disorder with a side of narcissism? Like, how do they diagnose it?
Okay, two scenarios. If they're forced to get diagnosed, and that's like if they end up in prison, they have to see the prison psychologist. They have to go. They can't get out of that. Only if they're forced, or if they're in a situation where they need a psychologist, they have to manipulate to get something out of it. So I'll give you this. I posted something on Instagram last week. 14 psychologists describe what it's like to treat a narc, and they all dreaded it. They hated it because it was just constant. They were trying to manipulate the therapist to the point, where they were trying to run the session instead of allowing the psychologist to run it. So, I had an ex that, he needed a letter from the doctor so he could get out of some situation. He wasn't there to get help, but he lied. I'm here because I'm depressed. He got the letter. He stopped going after a few visits. So the only way that they'll go is if they can get something out of it. They're not going because they genuinely want to get self-help. They're the greatest master manipulators.
What are some traits that we can identify in, like, a little child?
That's hard because when they're little, they're still vulnerable and learning. I would say by the time they get to their
Like middle
early
school?
teens,
So is this the kid that is like the attention seeker of the class, the one that is like
The one that's kicking a dog and
scheming?
not feeling bad, kicking
Oh,
a
wow.
puppy and have no emotion, or torturing, you know, you gotta watch them.
or like bullying another student?
I see the bullies.
'Cause they're learning that from somebody at home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is how I get control.
Children do not, you know, grow up like that.
No, of
Someone-
course, they're a clean
they
slate.
emulate everything that they
Yeah.
see around
do.
them. They're getting that from somewhere at home. But best believe that.
I even noticed, well, for me, when I hear the term, for whatever reason, I associate it with men and like abusive men. But I am experiencing a lot of female narcissists
They're
as
worse
an
than
adult.
men. They're worse.
And it is not pretty because I'm having to like cut people off because it's not comfortable for me to be around these people. And I'm
You notice, you
noticing,
identify it.
I identify now what is happening, and I'm also noticing like trends with them and other people. They can't maintain relationships. It's always someone else. Oh, this person was too this, or she was too that, or she was jealous of me. I couldn't be around her. And it's like, wow, you can't be friends with anybody? You can't be friends with anybody. So what does that say about you? And then I notice like the manipulation that they use with the opposite sex, the tactics that they use to get what they want, and they'll stop at nothing
Yeah.
to win. It's about winning.
Yeah.
So
My mother and sister I grew up watching, and they're bigger cheaters than the men.
yeah, and better.
And gold diggers.
Yeah, they are.
That song wasn't made for nothing now.
Super competitive.
Very
If you're-
competitive.
If you're pretty, they'll try to undermine you, and they'll gossip about you like a dog, smile on your face.
Silent
Females
competition.
Are worse. They're the worst.
They
than the
are.
marks. They
Like
are.
a succubus.
Yeah.
When you leave the person, you find that your energy is drained. You're like, why am I always...
Why am I tired?
And they're talking about you.
Why am I tired?
Smear campaign.
Wow.
I've had that feeling, and I think I'm too empathetic. So I don't know. Maybe I have some like narcissism in me, but I'm more empathetic than not. And I've always felt that when I'm around certain people, there is something about the way that they carry themselves that wears me out. I've left
Wow.
rooms of people
Really?
where
You're
I
too
felt
empath
like,
then, because empaths, we have a hypersensitivity to other people's energy, and I'm the same way. If I get around some toxic people, I get anxiety pangs, and I gotta get away.
it's too
Yeah.
much.
It's too much.
It's too
Introvert,
much.
empath, totally. Wow, you're not an art.
No, I don't think I am.
Care. They
don't care?
They'll adjust to the setting, and they'll, you know, whatever
Yeah,
you get
I don't
out
think
of
I
it,
am.
Then they'll leave.
I think that over the last few years, I've also become more attuned to like picking it out in a crowd.
Yeah.
You know, and I wouldn't be able to do my job if I wasn't an
If you
empath.
sit and pay attention, you can carefully see.
Yep.
Just pay attention.
And you feel that,
So common.
like, you know, like heaviness in a room. Yeah,
Yes.
it's crazy.
It's so
Who's gotta be the center
common.
of attention? Who, you know?
Who has the most intellectual comment to make?
Yeah.
Well, we are going to take a break. We'll be back in a few minutes with the comment section. Again, if you have questions, 347-640-3920.
I wanna be a woman, but I just don't have the time. I wanna give it up to you, but it might make me lose my mind. You wanna be my man, and you showed me your true heart, but I cannot forgive myself if I can't finish what I start. Love takes time. Give up together, give up together. Let's take our time. Give up together, yeah. If we both believe, give up together, give up together. Stars will align, everything will be just fine. Wanna be a woman, so I have to make the time. I have to give it up to you, soul, body, heart, and mind. You wanna be my man, so I give you all my heart. 'Cause I know I won't forgive myself if I keep keeping us apart. together. Let's take our time. Give up together, yeah. If we both believe. Give up together. Give up together. Stars will align. Everything will be just fine. Love takes time. Give up together. Give up together. Let's take our time. Give up together, yeah. If we both believe. Give up together. Give up together. Stars will align.
Real.
Back in these narcissistic streets. And, Chanel actually made a good observation, and she was saying that the narcissist doesn't want to hear anything about religion or God or any type of spiritual empowerment. And I made that connection because I remember when I was in an abusive relationship, this person would always say to me, what are you going to do now? You Christians, you so-called Christians, and what's God going to do? Where was God when this?
Oh my God.
And I used to get chills to hear him speak that way because it was so sacrilegious. And it makes perfect sense that it is some type of a spirit, especially with women.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're familiar with that Jezebel spirit.
Yes. And Ahab.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. And it doesn't always have to do with sex. It is money, it's greed, it's sex, it's lust, it's
Resources, anything
resources.
they can get. But also, too, another twist to the spiritual aspect is a lot of them are in the church. A lot of pastors are narcissistic, and they have their minion of their committee, looking for fresh prey.
Because they can control.
Yes. So you hear a lot of these stories, whether it's the Catholic Church, even Baptist, allegedly Bishop Eddie Long, who has passed away,
Yeah.
he was preying on young boys.
Yeah.
So narcs are in those type of positions, and a church is the perfect place. That's where you go for refuge when you're weak and vulnerable.
And they're already
Perfect
there.
prey.
They're already there for you.
Yeah.
You're right. Picking.
This is the stuff that they produce movies about.
Like a Lifetime
Yeah.
movie.
It's a Lifetime movie, right? Like
There's
every
lots
time-
of Lifetime movies about narcissism. Lots. Yeah.
They don't label it as such, but the plots, the themes are all pointing into the direction of narcissism.
Yeah.
It's
Totally.
It's sick.
Yeah.
It's
Fighting
sick.
for someone's demise in silent competition with this person. Won't stop until you see that person has been.
Mommy Dearest and Precious are two movies that totally outline narcissism in depth. Totally.
So I wonder if it's more, I don't have the research, but I wonder if it's more predominant in certain communities than others.
No, it's worldwide, every race.
It has no color, no boundary, no.
My community, especially on Instagram, all over the world, London, I got Africa in my chat rooms, white, black, Indian, Asian. It is a spiritual, do you hear me? It is a spiritual epidemic. Forget color. This is about the spirit. Because their job is to destroy your spirit, no matter what race you are. It's horrible.
And they purposely go after specific types of victims.
They can pick up the weak.
They can pick it up.
They can pick it up.
Well,
They
not
know.
just the weak. Okay, there's this thing called supply. Okay, that's what they live for. That's what they crave. Supply is energy, adulation, and attention. And the greater you are spiritually, never mind the material stuff. You can have your life together, educated, good looking, but spiritually, if you're a beautiful person,
Yeah.
and they sense that, okay, they're targeting you before you even know it, and their
Wow.
job is to break you. But it's a slow, disgusting, arduous process.
That sounds like my ex-boyfriend. I was telling you this yesterday,
Yeah, you told
Shirley.
me a little bit
So
about
I
that.
used to be same personality that I have now, but I was so much, I feel like vibrant before.
Yeah.
And then I got with him, and over 2.5 years, like my life just spiraled downward.
They're parasites.
And it was all him mentally. Like he would get into my head and make me feel like I wasn't worthy.
Really?
Yes, it was sick.
That's what they do. And by the end of the relationship, when you break up, you're left like feeling worthless. And skipping off into the sunset with their next victim and rubbing that in your face. But the whole, it's a mind, it's a mind trick. It's an illusion because they need you. It's not the other way around, but they've convinced you. You know how the devil convinced the world that he didn't exist?
Yeah.
These are Satan's minions. This is all they're doing. They're repeating what Satan has already done to the world.
So he was a narcissist. The top
there's so
narcissist.
many in the Bible. Can we go Pharaoh? That's another topic.
Deep. And these are the same old tricks that he's using.
Y'all know the
So
story of
nothing's-
They just
Moses.
changed
You know
the
the story
skin.
of Moses. Come on, yes, they're all in the Bible because they test God and they go against and they, what happens? What happened to the ones that nailed Jesus to the crucifix? They all was narcs. Judas
Interesting.
was, oh my God, sell himself out for money.
So that's why they refuse to believe in anything spiritual, because they know that if they do, their whole existence is not.
But it's almost like, remember Freddy
nothing.
Krueger, if you don't believe in me, then I won't exist. So it's almost like if you have too much, they can't exist in that.
In your mind.
In your
right.
mind anymore.
'Cause
So
you're
they
too
have to go
strong.
somewhere else because you're too strong.
Y'all are catching on.
Oh my God, but these are the same tricks. He doesn't have any new tricks.
Yeah, I mean, reading the
This
Bible.
is deep.
I want to go do the Spark
He
Notes.
doesn't have anything else. I was actually reading an article where it was discussing how Satan has a specific enmity with women. He particularly hates women because we can produce life and he cannot.
That's
the
another
one
topic
thing.
of these narcissistic men that are raised by their narcissistic mothers. They hate women because they hate their mothers.
hate their mother.
But they love her and they won't leave her alone because she's groomed him to keep the umbilical cord intact. So she'll help him sabotage all of his relationships. That's her husband.
Oh my
That is her husband.
This-
Yeah.
Okay?
So those men out there that have such a connection to their mothers
They
and
hate women.
They hate women.
They're
Oh
going to
my
make
God.
the girlfriend pay for what mommy did. Mommy abused them all through childhood, but because they have a loyalty to mommy, they're going to take it out on the girlfriend or the wife.
Chanel, you need to come back and do another.
Whatever.
section.
Y'all call me, I'll come. Y'all come through.
Please come back, Miss Chanel, because
Stop.
we need another session on
Another
narcissism.
session. Another session. Well, thank
It's
you
real.
so much. You remember last time I messed this up? Are we actually out of time?
We are out of
Okay.
time.
Oh, wow.
That went by fast.
That went by so fast. And this is such an amazing topic. I feel we need
It's
to
necessary.
go back into it, and we will definitely call you, Chanel. You're more than welcome
Absolutely.
to come
Anytime.
back
Thank y'all for
to the
having
show.
me.
Thank you for being
We
here.
need to get you to these children. That's next.
Yes.
Get you to talk to these babies so that they can start recognizing it.
There's so many layers to this, you guys. So whenever you want me to come back, let's do it.
I appreciate you. All right, thank you so much. We are out of time. If you need to reach either of us, please reach out to us via social media. Facebook, Instagram, NY comment section. You're, of course, welcome to call. We won't be here, but you can still call 347-640-3920, and we will get back with you.
Also, if there's a topic that you want us to discuss within the
Yes.
next few weeks, please don't, hesitate to
Get on
contact
my
us as well.
DMs.
And can they follow my Instagram?
Yes, go ahead.
Spiritual whistleblower, one word. Spiritual whistleblower, all one word.
Please follow her and get your life. Thank you so much. We will see
Bye.
you.
all.
Thank you.
God bless my haters. God bless fake hoes. God bless these haters. Cause God only knows that.